An elegant suit for a special day. The boutique was buzzing with hurried voices and nervous laughter. A rack of satin gowns swayed as assistants rushed past, their arms full of fabric and pins. At the center of the storm stood a woman in an elegant suit, simple yet striking, its silhouette flawless on her frame. "Your ticket, please." "You can't come inside without it," one of the ushers said sharply. "But this suit," she protested, smoothing the lapel. "It's perfect for today. Clean, modern, fashionable. It's made for moments like this, whether a gala or an important meeting." Before she could say more, a panicked cry rang out from the fitting room. "Ladies, I'll be out in a minute. Someone help me quickly." A flustered designer stumbled into view, clutching a dress with a gaping tear. "You there," she barked. "Help me. Don't just stand there, save the day." The girl hesitated, then stepped forward. "Take it off carefully." "Let me see." With deft hands, she adjusted the torn fabric, pinning it neatly back into place. The designer blinked. "Wait, who are you?" "My name's Tatiana," she admitted. "The door was open, and I only wanted to ask a question. But I saw the problem and thought I could help." "Help?" the designer scoffed. "You ruined the dress, didn't you?" Tatiana straightened her shoulders. "No, I fixed it." The room stilled. For a moment, all that could be heard was the hush of silk brushing against the floor. Then, from the back, someone clapped slowly. A tall man stepped forward, his expression calm yet piercing. "Not bad," he said. "You have a delicate hand. Tell me, did you just arrive in Moscow? Do you dream of dressing stars, of seeing half the city wearing your designs?" Tatiana flushed. She hadn't expected to be noticed at all, let alone like this. Later, outside in the courtyard, she crossed paths with him again. He carried himself with quiet confidence, but when he smiled, it was warm, almost disarming. "You're not from Moscow, are you?" he asked, studying her face. She tilted her head. "Why do you assume that?" "Because your eyes are different," he said simply. "The girls here, they don't carry that kind of light." She laughed awkwardly. "You're strange." He offered her a cone of melting ice cream. "Then let me be a strange man making peace." She looked at the ice cream, then at him. And for the first time that day, she smiled by the fountain. "Listen," he said with an easy grin. "Let's drop the formalities, all right? Just take it. I already bought it." Tatiana hesitated, glancing at the shoebox he was holding out. "You bought it on a whim?" "Yeah, you know how it goes," he shrugged. "You see a shop, you like something, you buy it. But then you regret it. These shoes don't even fit me." "Thanks," she replied carefully, "but I think I'll be fine on my own." He raised an eyebrow. "How much would you pay for them then? Maybe I'll sell them to you." She smiled faintly. "You don't strike me as a street peddler." "You like them," he pressed. "I do, then they're yours. If they don't fit, you can always return them." "What's your name?" "Tatiana," he smirked. "Good, then I'll put it under your name for quality check." Here he handed her an invoice. "Meet me by the fountain at 7 tonight. We'll settle it then. Deal, I guess," she murmured, awkwardness in her voice. "But what about the payment?" "Forget it. Just be there." Later, at the academy, the new students crowded around the list posted on the wall. Tatiana scanned it twice, frowning. "My name isn't here," she whispered. "That's impossible." Her friend muttered, "There must be some mistake. You should go to the director right away and tell them. Obviously, they mixed something up." She nodded nervously. "Yes, you're right. I'll go." Good. And hey, when they assign rooms, tell them we should be together. You know how bad roommates can be. At least we already get along. Tatiana tried to smile, but her heart was pounding. Elsewhere, a phone rang. Lydia's voice filled the silence. Did you pick up the pants? They were no good. Too long. But for the price. Maybe I'm no good for them, the man chuckled. They promised to fix them tonight. Tonight. Lydia's voice sharpened. Don't forget we're supposed to be at your place to discuss the wedding. My referral was rescheduled for tonight. Listen, sweetheart, she said sweetly but firmly, you can always take an exam again. But there are no reschedules for weddings. Don't keep me waiting. Is that any way to talk to your future husband? He teased. Then, softer, I miss you. Please, just try to come tonight. What about my shoes? She asked suddenly. He hesitated. Well, about that. There was only one pair left. And, well, the mayor was there with his wife, so they took them. Chapter the list that wasn't. Why did you let them take it? Lydia's voice was sharp, her arms folded across her chest. What do you expect me to do, fight them? Vladimir shot back, exasperated. Do you really want me to get in trouble this close to the wedding? Her expression softened. Of course not, sweetie. That's the last thing we need right now. She leaned in and kissed him quickly. I love you. I'll see you tonight. Across campus, Tatiana fought to keep her voice steady as she stood before the admissions desk. Please, I finished school with straight A's. I passed every exam. I worked so hard. I need to know why I'm not on the list. The secretary barely looked up from her papers. Stop crying, will you? Tears won't change anything. But there must be a mistake. Tatiana pleaded, her hands trembling. At that moment, a man in a dark suit entered the office. His presence silenced the room instantly. What's happening here? He asked. The secretary straightened. Mr. Benjamin, this student insists she was accepted, but her name doesn't appear on the final list. Benjamin adjusted his glasses, scanning the papers. Your name, Nazarov. Tatiana, Nazarov. His brows lifted. Nazarov, from far out in the provinces. Yes. Your mother must be terribly worried about you being here. And your father Mikhail Nazarov, if I'm not mistaken. Tatiana's stomach twisted. You know my father. Sadly, no. But your case is clear. Your place was given to a candidate from one of the Soviet republics. A political decision. There's nothing I can do for you. He closed her file with a snap. Next, the words shattered her. She stumbled back, numb, in the hallway. Vladimir was laughing with a group of friends when Benjamin passed him. Vladimir, the man said in greeting. Mr. Edward, Vladimir replied, giving a casual salute. Sorry about earlier unexpected events, beyond my control. Preparing for this wedding, you know, it's madness. He winked at his friends. Important guests everywhere. Politicians, actors, even a famous singer performing only for my friends, of course. Tatiana overheard him as she clutched her books tighter. His confidence, his connections, the effortless way doors opened for him. It was a sharp contrast to her own humiliation. Her name erased, her dreams slipping away. But as she turned to leave, one thought burned through her despair. No one will tell me there's no place for me. I'll make one. Chapter, the weight of a name, what's the point? Tatiana whispered, her voice trembling. They've already decided everything. Across the courtyard, students chatted about the wedding preparations, selecting music, arguing about composers. Their laughter and excitement sounded cruel to her ears, like the world was moving forward while she stood trapped. One girl frowned. "So what happened, Tatiana? Did they fix the mistake?" Tatiana shook her head slowly. "No, I'm not on the list, and it looks like I never will be." Her friends stared, stunned. "But why?" She swallowed hard, forcing the words out. "Because my father is in prison." A silence fell over the group. Finally, one boy leaned forward, speaking in a low, urgent tone. "Then write a letter, appeal, say you denounce him, that you never knew him, that his actions don't represent you. Everyone does it. It's how things work." Tatiana's heart thudded painfully. "You want me to disown my own father? Put it in writing." He shrugged. "Why not? It won't hurt him. And it'll get you on the list." Her fists clenched at her sides. "Do you even hear yourself? That's my father." "I can't apologize, Tatiana," the boy snapped, his eyes flashing. "They don't lock men up for nothing." Anger flared in her chest. For a moment she wanted to strike him, to silence his careless words. But she forced herself to breathe, to hold it back. Another student muttered, "If you really want this, you need to know the right people. File the right paper, pass it to the right official. That's how the system works." Tatiana turned away, her eyes burning. Was this the price of her dreams? To betray her blood, even if he was guilty, to erase her name just to survive. Meanwhile, across the city, preparations for the grand wedding continued. The guest list is set. The restaurant is booked. One organizer declared proudly, "Daddy, you're a hero." Lydia beamed, hugging her father. "Two heroes," then laughed one of the men, raising a glass. "It's too early to drink," Benjamin chuckled, glancing at his watch. But at the wedding wheel, empty Mr. Evgeny's wallet, in the name of the bride and groom's happiness, who agrees? Laughter echoed around the table. "What about the music?" someone asked. Vladimir leaned forward, eyes gleaming. "Have a suggestion. My friend Anton knows the members of the regal band, Melody Makers. They play rock and roll, but they can perform anything. And don't worry about the payment. I'll cover their flights and accommodations. Are you serious?" Another man asked. Vladimir only smiled. "Dead serious. This wedding is going to be unforgettable." The drawing room sparkled with chandeliers, the air thick with cigarette smoke and whispered judgments. Preparations for the wedding dominated every conversation. "There will be important people there," muttered one of the planners, flipping through his notes. "We need something less provocative. A small orchestra, something refined." Another chimed in, "Yes, something famous, something everyone knows." "Phil Jungle," someone suggested. "Exactly. Beloved, safe, respectable, perfect." The group agreed. The Traditions Orchestra. Vladimir slouched lazily in his chair, smirked. "Boring. I'd rather ride in on a stallion, money in hand, and present my dowry to Madame Lydia like a knight." His mother gasped. "Vladimir, enough of this circus." A sharp tension cracked across the room. Voices rose, accusations flying domestic, disputes, backhanded insults. Evgeny's temper flared. He's a child, a spoiled child who deserves a beating. "That's enough," Vera snapped, her voice trembling. She clasped her hands tightly. "Please, for my sake, calm down. I'm begging you." But Evgeny's fury burned hot. "I never want to see that woman here again," he snarled, gesturing to a guest. "Get out before I lose what little patience I have." The woman's face stiffened, but she stood tall. "Next time, you'll get a bucket of bricks," she hissed before storming out, In the quiet that followed, a different voice cut through. "You're the mannequin girl I helped the other day, aren't you?" Tatiana froze. She turned, recognition dawning. A tall young man leaned against the doorframe, his smile lopsided but warm. "Don't call me that," she said, her cheeks heating. "It's rude, all right," he teased. "A model, then." She laughed despite herself. "That's not much better. Mannequin sounds like a hanger. Model at least has some dignity." "I'll remember that." His eyes softened as he studied her. "I've never seen you here before." "Freshman," her smile faltered. "No, I didn't make the list." The boy's expression shifted, but he didn't pity her. Instead, he leaned closer. "You design dresses, don't you?" Her breath caught. "How do you know that?" "I notice things." He grinned. "Could you make me a dress?" On short notice, Tatiana blinked. "What?" "I'll help you find a job. A place in Moscow." "What do you say?" His voice was quiet but firm, as if he wasn't offering, he was deciding her future. She hesitated only a moment, then whispered, "Yes." The next morning, Tatiana followed him into a marble-lined building where polished shoes echoed on polished floors. Her pulse raced as he leaned down, whispering quickly, "Remember, straight a student. Your mother's a home front worker. Your father, a frontline soldier. Don't say too much, just smile." The secretary glanced up as they entered. "Good morning. How can I help you?" "We're here to see Rita," the young man said. "Do you have an appointment?" she asked coolly. "No," he admitted. "Then—" "I'm afraid wait." A voice cut through the hall. A tall man in a grey suit approached, smiling warmly. "Natalia is my niece. She doesn't need an appointment. She can come in any time." Tatiana's breath caught. Just like that, doors that had been locked tight her whole life began to open. The office was gilded with polished wood and heavy curtains, its atmosphere suffocating with perfume and authority. "She wants to say hello," Natalia announced, proudly tugging Tatiana forward. "Meet Tatiana, seamstress, unlike any other. She's the future of Soviet fashion. She will revolutionize the clothing industry." Tatiana's cheeks flushed. She wanted to shrink into the floor, but words gave her no room. "I thought of sending her to Kuznetsk," Natalia continued, "but I realized we need her here, more than anywhere." A man in a dark suit leaned back in his chair, studying Tatiana with cool, assessing eyes. "Tell me," he said slowly, "do you agree with her description of you?" Tatiana swallowed hard. Natalia she admitted softly, "In reality, I graduated sewing college with straight A's." "Are you a party member?" Natalia jumped in quickly. "Of course she is. Her mother is a home front worker." Tatiana cut in, her voice steady but quiet. "No, I am not a member. My father was accused. He's in prison." The room stiffened. "Article 58?" the man asked sharply. "Yes," Tatiana whispered, "but he was innocent. There was a fire at the factory, and no one cared to investigate. They blamed him because it was easier." She lifted her chin. "But I am not my father." The man's gaze softened, just slightly. A child should not be punished for the mistakes of their parents. He tapped his pen against the desk, thinking, "All right, you will be taken on probation." Tatiana's heart skipped. "Are you serious?" "You'll have to prove yourself. 300% effort, constant support, flexibility, mistakes." He gestured toward the workshop. "Come, see what you're stepping into." Behind a heavy door, Tatiana was hit with a cloud of perfume and fabric dust. The air was rich with silks, imported textiles, and the murmur of sewing machines. "These are the best of the best," Natalia whispered. "They work with imported goods, cream of the crop." But Tatiana staggered. The perfume was overpowering, making her lungs ache. "Did you spray too much?" One girl snickered. "She can't even breathe. Maybe she's on a diet. One girl here only drank water for a week. Or maybe she's sick. She looks poisoned," another voice mocked. A sharper one chimed in. "And those shoes? Who wears a dress like that with those shoes? Is this a joke? How could they hire someone like her?" Tatiana's vision swam. The laughter was a blur, the perfume suffocating. She nearly fell when enough. A commanding voice cut through. "Miss Nina, shut your mouth." Tatiana blinked up, barely steady on her feet. A hand steadied her, pressing a glass of water into her palm. "Are you all right?" the voice asked. She took a shaky breath, forcing a smile. "I'm fine, thank you, truly." The overseer's gaze hardened. "Back to work, all of you." The workers scattered. He turned to Tatiana. "You my office." Now, the office was cooler, quieter, but no less intimidating. "The designs here are progressive," he said at last, flipping through sketches. "And in some areas, even fresh. But the creative crew is full. There's no space for another." Tatiana's heart plummeted. "But Mr. Ivan vouched for me." "In this world, that means nothing," the overseer replied sharply. "Connections cannot replace skill. Everyone here knows the same basics. That is not enough." Tatiana lifted her head, a spark in her eyes. "I know more than basics. I know fabrics, stitches, styles, and I see fashion not as it is, but as it could be." The man paused, intrigued despite himself. "We will see." For the first time, Tatiana felt the fight rise inside her. This was not just about surviving anymore. This was about proving she belonged no matter the shadow her father left behind. The iron hissed as Tatiana smoothed the slacks with deliberate care. The fabric resisted at first, stiff and stubborn, but she pressed on, watching it yield beneath the heat. From behind her, a sharp voice rang out. "This material is stretch. It resists at first, but later it shifts with temperature changes. If I were you, I wouldn't calculate until after processing." Tatiana kept her head bowed. "Yes, ma'am." "Listen well," the woman continued, her tone cutting. "You've proven some worth here, but you are still a nobody. And one more thing. You are forbidden to speak with clients. And no more fainting. Do I make myself clear?" Tatiana swallowed her pride. "Yes." The next morning, Natalia burst in, her energy as bright as ever. "Good morning, fashion protege. How are you?" "I'm working on my first task," Tatiana replied, her hands still on the fabric. "Wonderful. Work hard." Natalia smiled slyly. "Tell me, how can I thank your uncle?" "There's no need," Tatiana said quickly. "I'll thank him. Myself? That doesn't feel right. Perhaps a cake?" "No, he prefers something sweeter." Natalia's eyes sparkled mischievously. "Better yet, perhaps I'll thank him by going out with him." Tatiana frowned. "He's not really my uncle." "Oh, you are a lucky girl," Natalia laughed, waving away the protest. "Anyway, I have an evening show later. Settle in, but don't get too comfortable. Your connections may have gotten you in, but they mean nothing here." Tatiana stiffened. "Why would you say that?" "I finished at the top of my class." Natalia only smiled knowingly. Connections fade. Talent doesn't. We'll see which one keeps you standing. Meanwhile, across the city, Lydia and Vladimir argued in their usual fashion. On the cake, we'll have rings with our names. Lydia announced dreamily, chocolate rings, or maybe green ones, green for luck. Green, yes, Vladimir replied, though his eyes were unfocused. But Lydia, let's leave for Sakhalin tonight. Pack our bags and go. The food, see, the crab's huge claws, like this. He gestured wildly. Have you gone insane? She snapped. Are you drunk? Not at all. Just listen to me. We're perfect together. You and me against the world. Back to the wedding. Lydia clapped her hands. We must pick the menu. Vladimir sighed, defeated. Yes, the wedding. Back in the workshop, the overseer's voice was like a whip. These trousers, he barked, holding them up. Damaged. 53 rubles, gone an entire salary. And since you don't have a salary yet, how am I to deduct it? Tell me, how can you get something out of nothing? Tatiana's cheeks burned. I can fix them. The room went still. Fix them? And how would you manage that? I saw something in a magazine, she said quickly, pointing at the seam. We can bring them in a little here. It would look modern stylish. Let me do it. The overseer's lips twitched. The genius of a designer is often indistinguishable from the idiocy of a fool. Tatiana pressed her palms together. Miss Nina, please. Just one more chance. I can fix this. The overseer studied her for a long, tense moment. At last, he sighed. Then fix them, little seamstress, and pray you don't tear them beyond repair. Tatiana bent to her task, the needle trembling in her hand. One mistake, and her probation and her unravel in a single stitch. The room hummed with the faint rhythm of sewing machines, the fabric rustling like whispers of secrets. Tatiana sat hunched over, her needle dancing through the trousers she had promised to fix. Each stitch tightened her resolve, her breath steady despite the doubts that still lingered in the workshop's corners. Constantine stood behind her arms, crossed, observing with the practiced impatience of a man who had seen too many apprentices fail. I'll admit, he muttered, tapping a finger on the table. Not bad at all. I mastered that technique at 10. Tatiana's lips pressed into a thin line. She ignored the sting of his words and focused on the fabric. I also cropped the dress and marked the shirt. She added quietly, setting her work down with care. No. Pay raise for you, Constantine said flatly. Not even admiration. She lifted her chin. I'll be paid. He arched a brow, surprised by her spark, but dismissed her with a wave. You're done for today. Go on. His gaze flicked briefly downward. Though I will say your shoes, I like them. Where did you get them? Tatiana blinked at the unexpected remark. Good evening to you too, she said lightly. Would you like me to get you a pair? He smirked faintly. The youth nowadays, Tatiana allowed herself the smallest of smiles. Even a grudging compliment was a victory. Later that evening, the dormitory air was thick with tension. Natalia pushed open the door with a bright greeting, but her smile faltered when she saw Raisa standing there, arms folded. Suitcase at her feet. Nasirov said you were supposed to leave today, Raisa snapped. You shouldn't even be in the dorm anymore. Tatiana stepped forward, her pulse quickening. I found a job, she said firmly. I'll pay for the dorm. Unpack my bag, I'm staying. Raisa's lips curled in disdain. You nasty girl, always so stubborn. Enough. Natalia cut in, placing herself between them. She's not going anywhere. You know each other? Raisa demanded, narrowing her eyes. I've seen her once or twice, Natalia replied coolly, though her voice carried an edge. What's wrong with you, Natalia? Raisa sneered. Oh, forgive me. I didn't mean to be too harsh for this thing. The words struck like a slap. Tatiana's stomach tightened, but she stood her ground. And why on earth are you all dolled up for work? Raisa continued mercilessly. Do you think you're at a party? What is this full makeup at the sewing machine? Don't get worked up, Natalia said with a laugh. He's never happy anyway. According to him, he's an undiscovered talent. He takes it out on people. Tatiana inhaled, steadying herself. She refused to shrink. Not tonight. Later, in the quiet corridor, a softer voice called her name, Tatiana. She turned to find Miss Nina, the overseer, waiting. I wanted to thank you for bringing Tatiana, Nina said to Natalia, though her eyes flickered to the seamstress with something almost like approval. She's very talented, rough around the edges, yes, but she has a good eye. That's promising, but don't tell her that yet. She needs to work harder first. Natalia grinned. Of course, always a secret until the right time. Miss Nina lowered her voice. One more thing. Do you have anything special? Something I could pass on to Ivan as a token of gratitude for sending us such talent. Natalia's smile sharpened. I always have something. From her bag, she drew out a small, carefully wrapped item. It's very pretty. Please let me know if Ivan likes it. Of course, Miss Nina tucked it away. I'll see to it. Tatiana watched silently, caught in the web of power and favors, her own future hanging by a thread. For now, she stitched quietly, but she knew, one day, her designs, not politics, would speak louder than all their whispers. The atelier buzzed with nerves. Assistants darted back and forth, arms full of fabric, whispers slicing through the air. At the center of the storm stood the general's wife, Rigo, sharp-eyed and dangerously displeased. She examined the gown draped over her with a mixture of disdain and fury. You call this a dress? She demanded. Talent, perhaps. Execution, utterly disgraceful. The room froze. One seamstress nearly dropped her pins. Another stammered, We followed the design to the last detail. Shut up, the woman snapped. Do you think me a fool? Chanel would not be caught dead. In this, not even in her coffin. Her words cut deeper than scissors. Silence fell until her gaze narrowed on Tatiana, who was standing near the corner. Eyes wide, breath shallow. You, the general's wife, barked. Big eyes, come here. Tatiana's feet carried her forward before her courage caught up. The woman studied her as though Tatiana were the fabric itself, judged, dissected. Atrocious, truly atrocious. Now, tell me, did you make this gown? Tatiana swallowed. Yes, madame. I worked on it, but if you allow me, her voice softened but steadied as she continued. The gown isn't at fault. It's simply not designed for your frame. With respect, you have a small stature, but generous hips, a beautiful full waistline. And Tatiana hesitated, then added carefully, a spectacular cleavage. You are not a pear. You are an apple rich, vibrant, impossible to ignore. The room held its breath. For a moment, the general's wife said nothing. Then, astonishingly, her lips curved into the faintest smile. An apple, she repeated. Bold words from such a timid little mouse. Not timid, Madame Tatiana replied, gently. I only want you to feel as stunning as you truly are. May I adjust the gown? The general's wife considered her, then waved her hand. Go on then. But if you embarrass me. Tatiana bent to work, pinning and tugging with swift fingers, reshaping the dress, not just for a body, but for a woman who demanded to be noticed. When she stepped back, the wife turned to the mirror. A hush swept through the atelier. It's better, the woman admitted, reluctant but sincere. Of course, Tatiana said softly, I could never let you go looking otherwise. Madame, one of the designers, interjected quickly, we also have a new collection of velvet coats. Perhaps you'd like to see. A laugh broke the tension. The wife glanced around, the storm in her eyes finally calming. Why not? And perhaps a scarf as well. The crisis had passed, but just as Tatiana exhaled with relief, a new presence entered the room. A tall, broad-shouldered man in uniform stepped forward, his voice deep and commanding. Please excuse me. Allow me to introduce myself. Vasily Stepanov, his piercing gaze fixed on Tatiana. And your name? Tatiana, she answered cautiously. Tatiana, he repeated, as if tasting the syllables. Would you be so kind as to join me for dinner? There are delicate matters I wish to discuss. The room stiffened. Whispers swirled. Tatiana froze, caught between fear and intrigue. Before she could reply, Nina's sharp voice cut in. General, with all respect, the girl is busy. She has an urgent order from Mr. Nagorny's nephew. The general raised an eyebrow, then inclined his head with surprising grace. An order from Nagorny, you say? Then my apologies. I would not dare interfere. He gave Tatiana one last lingering look before stepping back. The moment passed, yet Tatiana's pulse raced long after he had gone. Later, as she prepared to leave the atelier, a shadow crossed her path. So we meet again, Miss Tatiana, the familiar voice said, smooth as silk, dangerous as fire. Her heart skipped. The general had returned.